What's the word, YouTube? You back with Word on the Street. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a like and comment. Hope you enjoy the video. In 2023 alone, over 55 young people under the age of 24 were murdered in Kansas City. That accounts for nearly 1/3 of all the city's homicides. With losing so many beautiful faces in such a short period of time, I wanted to take now to tell our youth the story of Robert Yummy Sandifer. Yummy was a kid born in the 80s in the heart of Chicago. He'd allegedly joined the Black Disciples at the age of 8. Yummy's story was made infamous by media coverage and his name appearing in some of Tupac's music. His life has been used as a cautionary tale for parents to their kids for the last 30 years. Yummy's life seemed to be doomed from the start. A quick examination of his childhood will show you exactly what would lead to a kid becoming a killer and a murder victim by 11. By the time he was born, his mother was incarcerated upwards of 30 times, and his dad was serving a prison sentence for a felony gun charge. By 3, the DCFS social workers had been completely familiarized with Yummy's family. Yummy's parents were busy living a street life of their own and had seemingly no interest in raising a family. By 4, Yummy had been placed in the care of his overwhelmed grandmother, who had at times up to 18 other children in her care. With so many others to look after, Yummy began to slip through the cracks, and by 10, he'd be arrested for armed robbery. While incarcerated, a psychological examiner was quoted as saying about Yummy, he has a sense of failure that has infiltrated every aspect of his life. With little to no structure and discipline at home and absent parents from a young age, it is easy to see how Yummy would be susceptible to falling victim to the streets. Street gangs prey on people with Yummy's background. Confused, abused, young, and fatherless, they offered him a sense of family and a feeling of pride and protection. Yummy finally felt like he belonged to people that loved him. His torturous home life of abandonment and neglect would be over because the people he now called his brothers would always have his back. Or so he thought. Older members of the gang started to prey on this newfound love and loyalty by having Yummy carry out increasingly illegal missions such as carjackings, robberies, and ultimately murder. Through these missions, Yummy had earned a reputation amongst the gang and rival gangs of being ruthless and merciless. During his criminal spree, Yummy accidentally shot a 14-year-old girl. He fled and went on the run. While on the run, Yummy stopped at a friend's house to call his grandmother, the woman who had raised him since he was just 4 years old, to say that he was going to turn himself in. Yummy's gang caught wind of his plan to turn himself in and effectively snitched, so they devised a scheme to kill him. 2 of Yummy's gang members, who were 16 and 14, kids themselves, met up with him and told him they were going to take him out of town to safety. They instead got Yummy into the car for his last ride of his short and harsh life. I can only imagine the terror in this 11-year-old boy's heart as he had to begin realizing these 2 people he thought were his brothers would be his killers. He was taken out of the car under a bridge, placed on his knees, and shot in the back of his head. His corpse was found laying in the open under the bridge by police the next morning. Yummy was a gangster, a robber, a killer, and all that. But at the end of the day, he was just a kid. I don't care what they've done. No child is past redemption. And I know people are going to say, man, he was a snitch. He deserved to die. And 99% of the niggas that's saying that at 11 years old, if you niggas would have been sat down in an investigation room for a murder, you niggas would have told. This little boy was shot in the back of the head, standing on his knees by 2 niggas he thought were his best friends. Why don't you niggas tell these kids this? At what point do we begin to look at ourselves as the men of this culture and say enough is enough? I cannot sit still and watch idly by while my brothers, cousins, nephews, friends die over the bullshit-ass facade y'all sell them. I've talked about the issue of gang violence in our city with anyone who will entertain the conversation. Too many times I've heard, well, these boys are going to do what they want to do. No, man. Our young men will do as they see and as they are taught. Just like Yummy's story, these issues start at home. And Kansas City as a whole has a problem with the familial units in our home. Single mother households account for 25% of all households in Kansas City. How can we expect our boys to become men without men in the homes? Now, I'm not saying a single mother can't raise a man, because I know there are some amazing single mothers out there. But the reality is, teaching a boy to become a man is easier done by men. There is so much undiagnosed and unresolved trauma from years of unhealthy home lives that's destroying our Black community. This trauma has manifested itself as us as a community praising the dope boy as much, if not more, than the college graduate. We see ourselves as a failure, and the only lifestyle suitable for failures is a failure's lifestyle. We celebrate drugs, sex, and murder in our music and wonder why we constitute only 13% of the country, but 50% of the prison population. Is there any way to solve it? I ain't got no idea. But I do know that if each one of us takes the time and makes the commitment to protect and help raise the young men who are important to us, then we can be nowhere but better off. Show love to these young men. Offer them a shoulder to lean on and an ear to listen. Give them the comfort that so many of us have longed for. Let them know they're not alone. And remember, these young men are just kids. Do not abandon them.